Alright, with last week showing off some Onichambara, guess it's not too far off to talk about Senran Kagura next. Another action game with hefty amount of fan service. Which yeah, sure does gives the franchise a reputation, but no, trust me. This one though has some stuff, I promise. But first, this is combat overview. In this series I go over the general controls, to the game's main mechanic or mechanics, who or what we use those tools on, and then see how it all comes together. Bit more in depth, but that's what we do. Senran Kagura Burst Renewal is this reimagining, retelling, reboot of the original 3DS games. You would think this would be like Shinobi and Estival Versus just by looking at it, but those two games are very repetitive and had little to no real substance to them, just button mashy Muso likes. But Burst Renewal on the other hand does a complete 180 and actually adds a few things we like to see in our action games, while bringing some tools over from the beat 'em up genre along with them. So we have light attacks doing its own little combo that'll end by sending him flying. Triangle is our heavy attack, can charge it up too, but yeah, this acts as this unique move for whoever you're playing as. Can do this forward drill attack, or burrow your way underground to uppercut him, both a dodge and attack thing going on, or ready up a ton of projectiles. You can link light into heavies for enders, but they don't do anything different. They all set up the same thing, and that's the aerial rave. So after a full light combo or after an ender, you'll see this green ring as they get launched. Lets you know you can follow them up with an aerial rave by pressing circle, auto dashes up towards them, gets you in closer to an air combo. This and the damaged clothing is Senran's key things. For our defenses, hold R1 to guard. Can block quite a bit and it'll completely cover you so you don't need to face whoever's attacking you. And yep, we do have parries. Time that guard by looking for the enemy's attack area, hurt box visualizer they show, kind of like Bayonetta 2. Even their startup animations give a nice tell before they attack as well. But alright, a parry stuns the enemy and anybody nearby. Refills one stock of your ninja art, and can follow it up with an aerial rave, regular attacks, or with a super. So great reward for recognizing these little things and lets you turn the tides. And for as useful as this is, you can't spam it to get these off easy. You actually need to time this, because there is a bit of end lag as you drop your guard before you can put it up again. Also, not every move can be blocked. These purple attacks are unblockable, so you need to time this correctly or you're just going to tank that hit. See, there's some skills required here, you know, already a leap above the Vita games. Alright, pressing down we use 10% of health to do element break. It's just like a traditional beat 'em up would have. It crowd controls, interrupts enemies' combos, and you're being vulnerable for a bit, but at the cost of your health. Onto our head. Yep, the green meter is health. Now as you land hits, you'll fill up this yellow meter called the ninja art gauge. When you have at least one pip, pressing L1 will transform into shinobi mode. This allows you to use your skills finally. Can't use them otherwise. And when you transform, your health refills completely, and you'll stay in this until the end of the mission. So it can be good to hold on to this as a heal if it gets a bit rough, or transform as soon as possible to open up some options. It's all up to you. Alright, to use those skills, just hold L1 and press square or triangle. Square costs 1 pip and does a quick option, and triangle costs 2, and this one will do big damage and usually covers more ground. You're even invulnerable during specials, so if you're about to get hit, you can use this to escape and dish out damage for yourself. Again, kind of like beat 'em ups. And lastly, burst mode. On the left corner of our portrait, you'll see this blue meter get filled up after landing a ticks, getting parries and all that. Once it's full, pop it with L2 and you go into this powered up state, having you deal more damage and lets you chain aerial raves back to back as long as the enemy doesn't break out of it. This does constantly drain while active, and once empty, you'll do an explosive crowd control attack automatically. You can do it early too, but it takes up whatever meter you got left. Now some things to look out for when you're in burst mode. If you get hit by an unblockable attack, you'll be stunned and instantly knock you out of that mode, so watch out for that. Okay, there's a bit of character leveling up and proficiency stuff going on. So after every stage, you'll be graded on specific things and get some XP based off that rank. Once you level up, get some base level stat increase to your health, damage, that sort of thing. But we have more here to level up, and that's playing with one out of the two styles. They're called yin and yang. Yang is the default choice, where you start regular form and have the burst mode or shinobi transformation to lean back on for its benefits. Playing this way would get you some parry upgrades, like giving it the aerial ray follow-up, or being able to parry mid-air. Look familiar? Any more stuff down the line, like being able to fast fall down, but yeah, all the good stuff to get you started is early on, which is great. No need for wild amount of grinding for the fun upgrades. But for the other style, Yin, you gotta start the missions in frantic mode. Your base damage is increased, you'll be able to use burst attack automatically without having to go into that mode. You don't need to transform to use your skills, you can use them instantly when you got the meter. Everything is accessible, but the trade-off is having extremely low defenses, shown by your character being exposed to the elements. But it's like that to let you know your defenses are low and all that. It's smart. If you think the game is a bit easy, well, here you go. And yeah, playing this way unlocks iframes on your sidestep, pretty neat. Your heavy attacks now guard break. Taunting is more effective and more. Yeah, we have a taunt. So we have two ways of playing, and they both lead to solid benefits to open up your options. You do need to unlock these for every character, but you'll most likely have a favorite or two that you exclusively play, so it shouldn't be too bad. Onto the enemies, and alright. This might be small, but they really did a good job on enemies this time. Not only do we have visuals to show where the attacks are coming from, and the hitbox size, and whether or not they're unblockable or not. Like if it's a semicircle, I know it's a sweep close attack, and if it's this rectangle, I know it's this forward charging leap attack. So not only do they have different attacks depending on your distance from them, but they give useful shapes to show that as well if a crowd is too busy to see. But if you can't see the animations for the attack, it actually has some wind up and everything like that. Even little grunts have this attention put into their moves. There's way more thought out than before. Bosses are really fun too, and that's because they have the same tools as you do. So you basically get multiple rival fights throughout the game. You'll both be air dashing follow-up combos on each other, do air parries and little corner combos and trying to break out of each other's little strings. Like you'll see them start up in a special, either dodge out the way or iframe through it with one of your own specials. And just like I mentioned earlier, since they have their own little playstyle or unique attacks to them, they do make different fights from one another. They even have their own distinct timings for parries too. So not too bad. Of course, we gotta have our main rifle too. And that's Senran Kagura Burst Renewal. We have some fun stuff here. Parries, powered up states, second glass cannon playstyle, taunts that'll aggro enemies, sizable roster to play, its own version of air juggles, small selection of distinct enemy types, and it's wrapped up with this ninja theming. All in all, pretty fun. Bit mashy a tiny bit, but it's definitely come a long way from those earlier games. Now it finally has an enjoyable, straightforward combat. Read your enemies, slash bosses, learn their patterns, parry to stun, and then set up follow-up aerial waves. We have different enders, but they all lead to the same thing. So pretty much the same way Rising of Vengeance went about it, how everything sets up Zendatsu's. But damn, with different and varied characters to play as and fight against, basically having all these fleshed out boss rival fights for the same options as you, plus their own gimmicks to deal with is pretty cool. So Renewal is the best version of the art style they've done yet. Get to do little cosmetic dress up, got a lot of missions to play, over 80 main story missions and then some, and varied enough ways to play. A lot here to dig into. Oh, and we even have post-game content, having the students versus teachers missions, and if you beat them, you actually unlock them and get to use them for yourself. Then there's the 2 story expansions that of course add more missions, but also brings a handful of characters into this revamped beat 'em up hack and slash ninja action game. The Burst Renewal is the full package, now having most of the characters in the series to play with these actual fun combat systems. This was a good sign to me that it was on the up and up, but then poof. Any chance or news for a follow-up is now nowhere to be found. 7 was hinted at back in 2017 and nothing since then. Plus with the director and creator of Senran Kagura leaving, pretty much told me, yeah, it's definitely not happening now. Kinda sucks seeing where Senran is now. Just been releasing a few side games here and there, nothing major. And the last we saw him was in Ninja Wars, and that was a huge step down from what we have here, so yeah. Maybe one day we can get some kind of successor, but either way, I'm more than happy with what we got here in Senran Kagura Burst Renewal as its final outing for now.